All right, let's jump right in. Right now, at this very moment, there's an invisible world just humming with activity all around you. It's a world built out of signals, signals we rely on for, well, pretty much everything in modern life. But here's the thing. What happens when that invisible world gets a little too crowded? That's the invisible interference we're going to talk about today. Now, this is the very first installment in a 10-part series we're calling Invisible Interference. It's all part of a public awareness campaign from RFI Detectives, and it's built on some fascinating research from Bob Slavic over at Virtualization Options. We've actually designed this specifically for media professionals, for you. The whole idea is to help you grasp this problem, from something that's just a minor annoyance all the way to a major public safety risk, so you can see why it matters so much to your audience. So let's really set the stage here. We are living in a world that is fundamentally powered by radio waves. It's easy to forget because, we can't see them. And this really gets to the heart of the scale we're dealing with. We're not talking about dozens of signals, or even hundreds. We're talking about billions. Billions. It's like a constant, invisible storm of information that makes up the backbone of our entire connected world. I mean, just think about your own day. These signals are carrying your phone calls, streaming your music, locking your car with just a click of a button. They're securing your home with smart alarms, and they're literally navigating our world with GPS. And most of the time, it all just works perfectly, silently, in the background. So that's the real question, isn't it? What happens when the system we all just take for granted stops working? When it breaks down? Because that's where our story really gets interesting. Well, that collision creates what you can think of as an invisible traffic jam. And that brings us right to the core of what we're talking about, radio frequency interference, or as it's often called, RFI. The analogy here is just perfect. Imagine every single wireless device trying to shout at the exact same time on one crowded street corner. The chaos, the noise, that's RFI. It is literally an invisible traffic jam where your data, your messages get stuck, mixed up, or just completely lost in the noise. It's a really powerful way to picture this invisible problem. And this interference isn't caused by just one thing. On the one hand, you've got your accidental and environmental sources. Things like way too many Wi-Fi networks in an apartment building, or maybe cheaply made electronics that just leak radio noise. Even something as natural as a lightning storm can cause it. But then, on the other hand, you have deliberate interference. And this is where it gets really serious. We're talking about illegal signal jammers, devices that are specifically designed to block signals. So this is so much more than just a technical glitch. Let's really dig into what happens when these invisible problems create some very real and very human consequences. I really want to pause on this because this statement is the absolute heart of the issue. You can't see the radio waves, sure, but you can absolutely see and feel the results when they fail. And those results, well, they can range from being a tiny annoyance to a full-blown life-threatening emergency. And this is exactly what that looks like in the real world. A dropped Wi-Fi call, it might not seem like a huge deal, unless, of course, it's a 911 call. A key fob that suddenly won't work is frustrating for sure, but when it happens late at night in a dark parking lot, that becomes a personal safety issue. A smart lock that goes dead leaves your home completely vulnerable. And as you can see, the stakes just keep getting higher, all the way up to impacting national security when you're talking about corrupted GPS signals for an aircraft. And that brings us to why this is so important and why we're talking about it today. For all of you in the media, this isn't just another tech story. It's a public service story. It is so critical to frame it this way. This isn't just about some new gadget you'd read about in a tech column. This is about the invisible infrastructure that underpins public safety, that secures our homes, that even drives our economy. And when that infrastructure gets stressed or when it fails, everybody is affected. And there it is. That's the call to action here. There is a massive gap between how much this stuff affects our daily lives and how little the public actually understands it. Your reporting, your stories can close that gap, and that really is public service in its truest form. So we'll leave you with this thought. Every single new smart device, every new wireless network, it just adds another car to that invisible highway. The world is not getting any less crowded. So the real question is, can our invisible infrastructure actually handle all this traffic? And maybe more importantly, what happens when it can't? That's the story that's worth telling.